Hello everyone, and welcome to another video tutorial on how to complete the LaRosa flow observation form in your web browser. So just a reminder that the web browser is really not the preferred method that we encourage you to submit your flow observation form. Because the app can be downloaded on any device, including a computer. The best way is really to do it through the app because there's a bunch of additional features, including editing an already submitted form, or if you're a project coordinator who has a bunch of different sites and a lot of volunteers, and maybe your volunteers don't use the app out in the field themselves, and you're doing it for them on their behalf after the fact, and you're submitting a bunch all at once. The best way to do that is really through the app, because then you can copy your form and resubmit it each time for each new site instead of having to resubmit a new form from scratch each time. So the best way to do that is through the app. Again, the web browser does not have this feature, and also the web browser can only be used online when you're connected to internet. So it's much more limited than the app. So I encourage you to use the app, again, either on your computer or your phone or your tablet, whatever device you prefer. So just in case that you don't have access to a device where you can download the app, I will show you how to use the web form in your browser. And you can use whatever browser you choose. You will just need the link that I have sent out in email. You can also find it on our website in various different places. So on the main page here, we have our partner guide. So if you click on that, the link is embedded in the partner guide. You can also go to the training and education section. It is embedded here. Again, there's the partner guide. There's the annual partner training and orientation slideshow presentation. You'll find the link in there as well. So I'm going to click into that. And if I scroll here, here is the link. And again, this link will stay the same across years. So whether you've been with us since we started using Survey123 back in 2022, or in the future, you might be watching this video, this link should always be the same from year to year. So you go ahead and click on this link, and it'll open up the form for you. So this is going to look very similar to the app. So if you watch the app tutorial video, this is going to look very familiar. So you're going to go ahead and put in your sampler name. Again, this is not a required question to make it easier on those project coordinators who might be filling out a bunch of sites at once and having to submit a separate form for each site. But if you're using the app, that's not an issue, because this is one of the fields that would automatically populate when you copy and resubmit the same form with that feature in the app. So you're going to go ahead and click on your partner organization. You'll see a drop-down list of all of the partner organizations for that year. So click on one. The site list will be specific to that partner organization. So depending on which partner organization you choose, a different list will show up. And this is a required question. So if you don't complete it, you'll get this error notification. It won't let you submit the form. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a different one. You'll see the sites are different and specific to Echo Lake. So I'll click on the site. The date and time will be the current date or time at whatever time you were filling it out. So it's not going to be accurate for when that sample was collected. So you'll have to go ahead and change the date to reflect when the sample was actually collected, and make sure you change it to the correct AM or PM. Also, the location will not be accurate. If you have location enabled on your computer, it will be the location where you're filling this out, but it needs to be updated for each site, because when it goes into our flow data dashboard, it's going to show up with whatever lat long is attached to that survey. And we don't want a bunch of observations showing up at your house or wherever you're filling this out. We want it at the actual point where that sample was collected. So you can go ahead and look up what the lat long is for your site and type it in there. For a list of lat longs, if you're a project coordinator, you should have access to that in your season prep form. If you're a volunteer, contact your project coordinator to find out what the lat long of your site is. So I'm just going to type in something random. This is not a required question, so you don't actually need it to complete the form. Then we will go into the next section, which is the sample site status. This is where you indicate that you either collected your water samples or maybe you could not collect water samples for a couple different reasons. Either the stream is at flood stage and not safe for sampling, and it'll automatically fill in behind the scenes that the flow level is flood and the flow type is freshet. Or you might have the stream is dry or the water levels are so low that sampling cannot be conducted. So that will automatically fill in everything as no flow. You might not have sampled for another reason. Maybe a landowner became angry and asked you to leave, even though you previously had permission. So again, we want to be respectful of situations like that. So you might not have been able to actually collect your water samples. So just indicate here, permission, landowner permission revoked, could not access stream. So then you would just hit submit if that were the end. But if you did collect a sample, you would go ahead and complete the rest of the sections. So the lab sample ID, remember this can be found on the labels of your sample bottles. And this is really helpful to make sure that a sample bottle didn't get switched accidentally at that site. This is not a required question. So if you're doing this after the fact, it's probably not that helpful. So you could skip that one. You would then put in the flow level and the flow type and the visible turbidity, yes or no. The main restriction you should be aware of on this question is that high and base can never be selected together, or freshet and base, and you'll get this warning message when flow levels are high or flood condition, the type should be freshet. And that is because if you look at the hydrograph, those high flows are always happening when the flow is actively rising or declining. And if you recall from the training, that's the definition of freshet. So even if it's not actively raining or you don't necessarily know there's snow melt happening for sure, if those water levels are high or flood level, it's definitely because there's runoff entering the stream, as opposed to with base flow where all the water entering the stream is from groundwater sources. It's not coming from runoff. So you would have to fix that in order to be able to submit it. So I'm going to choose high and freshet, and then it has no problem. And then I will say, yes, there is visible turbidity. And here is where you could upload any images. Because you're doing this on your web browser, you're not out in the field, most likely. And if you did happen to take any photos on your phone, you can save them to your computer and access them. And this is where you would you can click on this and it'll bring up your file finder, and you could save your photo and drag and drop it here or save it there. And then you would also put in any additional field observations. So this would be anything that might affect the flow, like outfall pipes, beaver dams. You might have noticed something unusual like wildlife, fish, maybe mussels that are present there, any unusual smells or strange algal growths. Definitely put that in here. And it's really helpful that we can go back and if anything changed or there was an error that occurred or something, we can look at these field observations and refer to them as needed. So once you've completed your survey, you can go ahead and click submit, and you are all done. And if you would like to submit another response for another site, you could go ahead and click here, and it will bring you to the blank form again. So, and again, a reminder that you really want to be using the app and not the web browser. So because of the additional features it provides, like being able to copy and resubmit surveys and edit surveys. So if you have any questions about that, please contact me. My email is megan.hickey@vermont.gov. And thank you for watching.